Kick-Ass and Killer Kids are the subject of today's countdown picks. The best of the best in horror countdown 2020 looks at the best horror films released between October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. Time to get ferocious. Welcome to the official Best in Horror 2019-2020 countdown on ML Miller Frights. A part of the Kings of Horror Network, I'm ML Miller. Be sure to give this video a like, share with your buddies across the electronic superhighway, click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you're in the Chicago area and love horror, you have no excuse not to head out to the Chi-Town Movies Drive-In for the Music Box of Horrors. Every night in October, for 31 nights of horror, there will be late shows Sunday through Thursday and double features every Friday and Saturday night. Every weekend is themed: Grindhouse Fridays, Rip-Off Saturdays, and Sequel Sundays. Tonight, they're playing Ryan Spindell's new anthology, The Mortuary Collection. This one is premiering on Shudder later this week, and look for my review of this hugely anticipated anthology later on in the week as well. Look below for a link to this schedule, where to get tickets, and directions to this awesome event. We're already 11 spots in, and coming in at number 20 is Becky, released on June 5th, 2020. Becky is available on digital download and on demand from Quiver Entertainment. It was directed by Jonathan Millet and Carrie Murnian, and it was written by Nick Morris, Lane Skye, and Ruckus Skye. Becky, Annabelle creation and Ouija the Origin of Evil's Lulu Wilson, is an angry teen. Her mother died from cancer a year ago, the kids at school are a bunch of assholes, and her dad, Joel McHale, has just let her know that he's remarrying. While spending a weekend at their cabin in the woods, Becky is supposed to get used to the idea of having Kayla, Amanda Brugel, as her new stepmom. But she's not having it. After she stomps out during dinner and hides in her secret fort in the middle of the woods with her dog, Becky is oblivious when a group of escaped convicts, led by a psychotic manipulator named Dominic, played by Kevin James, has invaded her cabin and taken the family hostage. With Becky in possession of a key that Dominic and his gang hid at the cabin years ago, she finds herself the only one with some kind of leverage over the man-monsters. Dominic wants to negotiate a trade with Becky, but he's about to find out that Becky doesn't play well with others. The brutality of the action in Becky is definitely going to surprise people. Through force of will, cunning beyond her years, and all kinds of sharp and dangerous objects a girl her age shouldn't be running with, Becky ruthlessly battles Dominic and his pals in a bloody game of death that leaves giant chunks of them on the floor. Some might criticize Becky for borrowing heavily from action classics like Die Hard, and even exploitative grindhousers like I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left, thankfully without the sexual stuff. This film can be categorized as a hard R Home Alone, but definitely isn't for the kiddies. Lulu Wilson is great here. She's played the creepy kid before, but the level of hell she unleashes here is biblical. While her reaction to the home invasion is extreme and violent, Wilson sells it through guttural screams and blood-spattered tantrums. She convincingly plays a troubled teen that is truly a force to be reckoned with. You almost feel sorry for these convicts if they weren't so despicable. The big highlight of Becky is going to be the fact that Kevin James plays a Nazi in here, and it's one of his first stabs at a dramatic role. And while I was half expecting him to start chasing Becky on a Segway and to fall down hilariously over and over, James proves to be effective as the skin-headed Dominic. This is a scary man James played, but one you can understand how he got to the top of the heap behind bars. A lot of that has to do with a very taut and to-the-point script from Nick Morris, Lane Skye, and Ruckus Skye. But James delivers the lines with dedication and menace. You will believe Paul Blart can kill for the Aryan Brotherhood. There's also a surprisingly nuanced performance by Robert Mallier, Sherlock Holmes' hammer-swinging giant, and the WWE's Kurgan. He's not your typical tough guy, as he plays the convict who, now that he has his freedom, is ready to leave his violent past behind him. It was fascinating seeing this mammoth-sized man being pulled in all directions as Dominic attempts to manipulate him to go against his own gut feelings. It's a performance that didn't really need to be in this film, but makes it better and deeper because it's there. But Becky is a beast of a film poised to pounce when you least expect it. Becky is a beast of a film poised to pounce when you least expect it. It's a star-making performance for Lulu Wilson and Robert Mallier. It also proves that Kevin James has more to offer than just slapstick. There's a lack of explanation as to why the key is in the cabin in the first place and how Becky found it, but the action and pace is so fast and frantic that I have no idea where they could have dropped in those details without skidding the story momentum to a halt. Director Jonathan Millet and Carey Murnion unleash Becky at a breakneck pace and fearless attitude. It's an all-around gory good time, and those who like their action gritty and gross should not miss it. Another flick about badass kids fighting back against adults is The Babysitter 2: Killer Queen. This was released in September 2010, and it's streaming exclusively on Netflix. McG returns as director for The Babysitter 2: Killer Queen. It was written by Dan Lagana and McG himself. Cole, played by Judah Lewis, the kid from the original Babysitter film, remembers that fateful night clearly when his babysitter, Bee, Samara Weaving, turned out to be the head priestess in a satanic cult searching for immortality. After successfully surviving the night, Cole still has nightmares and flashbacks. Worse yet, no one believes him that all hell broke loose that night. Now 2 years later, Cole's parents, Leslie Bibb and Ken Marino, are concerned he might need some serious therapy and plan to take him to a psychiatric school for help. Getting wind of the secret plan, Cole decides to ditch his best pal Melanie, Dr. Sleep's Emily Ann Lind, who was there the night shit went down 2 years ago but doesn't really remember much of it. In order to avoid institutionalization, Cole ditches school and heads to a party on the lake. Unfortunately, some of the satanic cult is back for vengeance and a second chance at immortality. If you're a fan of the original The Babysitter, there's a lot to love here. McG seems to be able to capture that hyperactive style that makes even the most gruesome of deaths seem all kinds of fun. Not confined to a suburban home, the size and scope of the mayhem has intensified tenfold, but the humor still works for the most part. There are a couple of groaners, some of the shtick is repeated from the original and wore a little thin. Still, I laughed quite a bit at The Babysitter Killer Queen, especially at returning characters like Shirtless Max, played by Robbie Amell, who is both trying to kill Cole and make him a stronger man all at once. For some reason, I found Andrew Bachelor and Bella Thorne's evil characters to be less fun here than in the original, but they still have their moments. Some of them meta commentary on horror and the cliched roles they play. There are a lot of gruesome scenes of carnage here, with tons of blood sloshed and splattered all around and everywhere, especially in the face area. Judah Lewis is solid as Cole, and though he's older and an awkward teen, he still seems like he made that transition from quirky kid to teen without losing his appeal. There's often that off-kilter look and feel to a returning kid character who has grown in the interim between two films, but that really isn't the case here. Newcomer Jenna Ortega is fantastic as an outcast with a troubled past who falls into the game of death by accident. And Amy Allen Lynn proves that she can be both bad and good girl and still make it all work, though they are desperately trying to fill the massive hole left by Samara Weaving with her role, and the young actress just doesn't seem to have Weaving's chutzpah yet. There are quite a few surprises that I won't reveal here. These babysitter movies are not meant to be taken seriously. There's a comedic tone even in the goriest of scenes. Still, what makes the original stand out was the amount of heart it had. A lot of that had to do with Samara Weaving, and while that quality is lacking for the most part in the sequel, Lewis, Ortega, and Lind, also with Marino and Bibb, make this one just as heartwarming and downright precious at times. That doesn't mean that the sequel lacks an edge, but the soulful stuff makes the whole gore and explosions seem less gratuitous and more fun. Look to be surprised in the final moments. It's one of those films that never forgets to make you laugh after drenching the set with blood, that is. That'll be it for today. Check back in tomorrow for my next pick in the countdown. Please chime in down in the comments and let me know what you think of these films, how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own darn list. If you like the videos, please pound that thumbs up button. Share this video with your social media addicted pals. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on mlmillerwrites.com. That's where you can see other installments of this countdown as well. Don't forget I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look for. Grave Trancers is out right now in most comic shops, and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, will be out in late November, early December. Diamond order code APR 201-712. And be sure to subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for alerts to be the first to see my future videos. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside that